Welcome to another episode of the Orange Nerd Show. We have a very special guest with us today. I'm going to introduce the panel, but before we do that, I want to tell you guys we have a stacked show today. We're going to talk about the Ice Age copyright issue that Disney is dealing with and how that might tie into Mickey Mouse. We're also going to talk a little Indy 5 and Harrison Ford. It's going to be a fantastic show up now. Hey everybody, welcome aboard to another episode of the Orange Nerd Show where we talk about all things except the theme parks because there is more to life than just the theme parks. We want to dive into a lot of other things, a little variety, spice of life. But today we have a newcomer to the channel, Aaliyah. Aaliyah, how you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Absolute pleasure. So first time, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to introduce everybody. Then we're going to dive into our topic. So Dre, host of Freshly Squeezed. How you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good. I'm feeling better. People are seeing me finally again. So that's nice. That's good. And I'm really, really happy to be here. Anybody who wants to talk to me can do it at Freshly Squeezed. It's right down there, right below. And anybody who wants to see me, well, I'm on your channel, OrangeCo55, at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. And Aaliyah down below, first time on the channel. Thank you again for coming on. If you can introduce yourself and let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Well, my name's Aaliyah, pronounced Aaliyah sometimes. And
Aaliyah, sorry.
No worries. It's a unique name. I really don't get on people unless they ask. But then I thought, wait, I just said it. So then I'm counting you. But it's Aaliyah. And then I can be found at Twitter at Aaliyah Aloha.
Perfect. Aaliyah Aloha. Perfect. Welcome. And George, the Disney family man who just got back from Joanne's Fabric doing the family man thing.
That's what I do.
That's what you do. Shopping for fabric. I love it. On brand. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Disney Family Man 23, which is also my Instagram under the same name. You could also find me on Twitter at Disney George. And of course, I'm on Orange Grove 55's channel with my segment Citrus Corner. So definitely check that out.
Perfect. All right. So let's dive into our first topic. So let's go into we're going to take a little trip to Orange Nerd University. And we're going to talk about the differences between copyright and trademark. So it says here, while both offer intellectual property protection, they protect different types of assets. Copyright is geared toward literary and artistic works, such as books and videos. And a copyright protects items that help define a company brand, such as its logo. For example, Acme Publishing Company can trademark its name and logo, but would copyright the books and videos that it created. So basically, like for this channel, like I could trademark my logo, but I would have to copyright my content is essentially the differences here. Okay. Now, the reason why we're going over that is because of the first story of the day, which is this news that came out about Disney loses the rights to the Scrat character from Ice Age following a trademark dispute. Okay, so the company no longer owns the saber-toothed squirrel. They had some issues with the legalese, so to speak, for this character. Now, Dre, I want to start with you. What are your just general thoughts about Disney losing the rights to this character? What do you feel like? Where's Disney at with this whole situation? What are you feeling, sir?
Well, I think it's very, very interesting. I mean, we've seen historical examples of this and how, just like this Scrat character right here, how Disney, claws and scratches and will do anything to hold on to any of their intellectual property that they feel that they have a right or are entitled to. So it's really, really interesting how they would kind of seemingly let this go. And I think it more speaks to maybe Disney's enthusiasm with the Ice Age brand, with the Ice Age IP. I just don't think they're very enthusiastic about it at all. We saw that Blue Sky was shut down. The prospect of more Ice Age films coming out is not great. I think Buck Wild, didn't it just hit theaters and maybe not make the biggest splash? I just don't think that the studio is that inclined and that enthusiastic about maintaining this for the long haul, even though it does provide content for Disney Plus.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I mean, Disney's level of enthusiasm for Ice Age and really just the kind of the Blue Sky brand overall, they really showed their cards. I think when that was one of the first things Disney sold off not sold off. I'm sorry, shut down after that $70 billion Fox acquisition. It was the Blue Sky Studio. They shut it down. Yeah. So I think that if Disney was really interested in these IP from that studio, I think they wouldn't have shuttered the studio that created this stuff. So I agree with you, Dre, on that. I don't think the enthusiasm is very high with this. Alia, now you brought up a fantastic point on social media the other day to me, and it was absolutely brilliant, which actually inspired this entire segment. If you can go ahead and kind of, I'll let you kind of explain your kind of theory on what this means for Mickey Mouse and that copyright expiration coming in a few years.
Well, I don't doubt Disney's going to continue to try with Congress, etc., to extend the copyright laws, change it. They'll want both copyright and trademark. So they're going to keep trying and to push it out. But if it fails, to me, this just shows the power of trademark. And recently, actually, with the loss of Winnie the Pooh to public domain, there was the big thing. If it's naked in this, it's public domain. But if it's this with the red sweater, it's Disney. So there was even warnings you could see on social media to people, to artists, etc. Just still be careful because of the trademark. So trademark's I think this to me illustrates the power of trademark, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point. Because what Disney can do, essentially, if I'm not mistaken, is they can trademark very recognizable symbols of Mickey Mouse. So the ears, his red shorts, his yellow shoes, things like that. And they can trademark this character 15 times over with his gloves and his ears and his shorts, and right? Where legally, even if they don't have the copyright, legally they can go after people for infringing the trademark laws. So I think you're onto something, Alia. I think that they might go that route, and I think that, like you said, they're probably going to try to sort of fight that copyright thing. But the backup plan, if that fails, is that trademark. They're gonna tie people up in court with those trademark infringements. What do you think, Mr. Family Man?
Yeah, I actually agree that, and I think for any company that even tries to remotely come close to trying to make their version of Mickey Mouse, I think they're running into a bottomless pit, because everyone is so familiarized with this character for 90 plus years. They're so used to his, characteristic and his voice and his laugh. And as you had mentioned, OG, with his red shorts, yellow shoes, white gloves, ears, so it's like, I think they have the protection as far as having those trademarks in their back pocket. But I think even if that does go into the public domain, I really, in my personal opinion, I don't think anyone's really going to even attempt to even try to even make their own version, because as you had all mentioned, with lawsuits and pulling it up into court, I just don't think a lot of companies want to go through that hassle.
Right. And the thing with Mickey Mouse that's unique in the Disney library is that Mickey isn't just a character, right? It's not just a random character that Disney owns. Mickey Mouse is really like the company logo in a lot of ways, the corporate mascot, which again, like Alia so brilliantly said, falls under that copyright. So it's
even the silhouette. It may not even be like the full picture of Mickey Mouse, just the silhouette of the ears and the head. Everyone knows what that means, and it means Mickey Mouse, Disney. So it's like Disney has a lot of different variations of how they can control of how much a person can have over this character.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Dre, I wanted to ask you, in terms of the copyright fight that is inevitably coming around the corner in what is it, in 2028?
It's 2028. Yeah, I believe so.
In a few years. What do you think? I mean, you think this is going to be like what it was when I think it was in the 90s, I believe, when Disney extended it out 20 years or something like that. You think Disney's going to really go, as George says, balls to the wall and really appeal to the powers that be in getting this extended? They're going to really fight for that.
Absolutely, yeah. They're going to fight tooth and nail to maintain the Mickey Mouse copyright, and honestly, the copyright to many of their works. It's not just Mickey coming up. It's an assortment of characters and an assortment of different IPs and franchises that they have that will be of concern even down the line. I think they're gonna really rally their lobbyists in Congress to kind of get some laws passed in order to protect. Because the idea is, okay, does an individual person who maybe made a character have a copyright, does that transfer over to like a corporate entity? Really, if a corporation is making use of these works, isn't that kind of like a person making use of these works? So you can kind of like, and then as a corporate entity, that can live on in perpetuity, hypothetically. So I do think it is time for these copyrights to be adjusted, because the idea about public domain, I don't believe, when it has a corporate entity involved, is necessarily applicable in the same way that it might be for a single individual person.
Yeah.
And especially in 2028, on November 18th, Mickey Mouse will be celebrating his 100th birthday. So for Disney to then have to capitalize on that and have promotions and marketing, they're going to want to do something big in that manner. So it's like, I don't think they really have in their mindset of saying, oh yeah, here's MTV's version of our Mickey Mouse. It's like for his 100th birthday. I mean, I think like they're going to want to fight tooth and nail, when that time comes, if it has to hold up in the court.
Yeah. And Alia, I wanted to, go ahead, Alia. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't doubt as a backup plan, they're going to be trademarking everything they can think of with Mickey Mouse, with the other characters coming up. But yes, also they are going to be very aggressive with the copyright.
And that is one of the reasons why they are going forward with kind of the new version of Mickey Mouse that we are seeing. We're seeing this new version of Mickey Mouse being proliferated everywhere within the company. One of the reasons is that's the backup plan. It's like, okay, well, if we lose the copyright on the original Mickey Mouse, this one is so unique, we could recopyright this and make that the version. And it's so close to the old one that nobody's going to even come close. I think that's the backup plan going forward.
That's fascinating. See, this is the thing. Disney has undoubtedly the best legal team ever.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way. It's like the Magic Key thing with like the whole like what's a blockout date and what's not. Yeah, there's all these legal loopholes, and Disney, I'm sure, has an entire army of lawyers combing through this stuff to find every loophole they can. Mickey Mouse is their bread and butter. This is absolutely their bread and butter. There's no way they can let this go out there and just be like a free for all. There's just no way. And it's not just Mickey. I believe it's Minnie too, because Minnie, I think she was also in Steamboat Willie, right?
Yeah. She was.
Yeah, they share the same birthday.
Yep. So it's Minnie too. We can't forget our girl Minnie. So
that's what I mean.
Are up for copyright issues coming up. So
that's what I mean. They're gonna want to copyright protect an assortment of characters going forward. But it's interesting, OG. I think you touched on a very interesting thing here with the trademarking of different iconography associated with Mickey.
Right.
There are people in the Diz community, whether it be Diz Twitter or Diz YouTube, or maybe even like the blogosphere and stuff like that use Mickey iconography in like their logos and everything like that.
Yep.
I don't know, guys. You might want to take a look at that if they go trademark happy in the next couple of years.
Right. And that's actually one of the reasons why when I was deciding my channel name and all that, I was like, I want something that's like very much like Anaheim centric, but I don't want it to be something that's Disney can come and say, hey, that's mine. Right. So Orange Grove,
and that's even like with my segment with on your channel with Citrus Corner that OG and I were discussing, because for Florida I wanted something maybe to do like with the orange bird, because I wanted to keep to his thing, and it's like, well, we got to be careful like using the orange bird because that's like falling on the line, and then that's when we came up with Citrus Corner. It's like that'll do.
Right, you guys got to be really careful. And our boy DSNY he worked all the loopholes, man. It's Disney, but he doesn't spell it out, right? It's brilliant.
Hello there, Waltoneers. Yeah, I get it.
I love it. But this is going to be an interesting fight. This is going to be a very interesting legal fight for Disney. At the end of the day, though, I think they'll succeed to some degree in protecting its image, and their lead character. I think at the end of the day, they'll find a way to do it. Like Alia has said with the trademarks, whatever they got to do, I think they're going to do it. It's just too important. It's way too important.
And this will become a bigger issue, not just associated with, these kind of cartoon characters, but also music as owned by a corporate entity. I don't know about if anybody's heard, but Spotify's in the news regularly, right? And music rights have become quite an issue in that context. I think this will affect many corporate entities down the line with their intellectual property and what they feel they're entitled to when it comes to copyright. So, this matter isn't over. It's just beginning.
And honestly, even though this is an Orange Nerd show, that it even falls into like of how they use the color coding for their cruise ships. If you look at Disney's cruise ships, it's the color of Mickey Mouse. So in order to protect those colors and
I think
they have to, keep those color codes, with Mickey Mouse and everything. Sorry, that's Wanda.
No problem at all.
Yeah, no, they're going to have to. And that kind of falls into the whole trademark, like iconography, the colors of Mickey Mouse, the recognizable features. So yeah, they're gonna definitely handle it. It'll be very interesting to watch, though. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So our next topic is Indiana Jones 5, Lucasfilm, Harrison Ford, Kathleen Kennedy. Dre, this is actually your topic idea. I want to start with you. What are your thoughts on you have some thoughts on this in regard to Indy 5, Harrison Ford, how it relates to Kathleen Kennedy, production, all that good stuff. I do.
Wait, do you hear that? There it is. Yeah. When you talk about Indiana Jones, you got to play the music, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. This one's pretty interesting. There are some rumors going around. Lucasfilm is, it's Lucasfilm. It's always in the news. There's always something dramatic going on. But I found it was fascinating. I was scrolling my Twitter and I saw an article highlight Harrison Ford's maybe recent comments. I believe it was with USA Today, if I'm not mistaken. And he was very adamant that he didn't want anybody wearing the fedora after him. Now, obviously, that might not be the most realistic vision, in terms of the Indiana Jones character and property and franchise. But he was pretty clear. He did not want anybody donning the fedora. And I have been hearing some rumors and maybe some theories out there that, that tumble that, that Harrison took on the set of Indiana Jones 5, where he injured his, I believe it was arm or shoulder or whatever, that maybe the injury that he sustained might have been a little bit overstated by him himself in order to sideline that production. We all know that Indiana Jones got pushed back a year.
Right.
And this film wasn't supposed to come out in like 2019, 2020 at one point. I mean, it's like, to be pushed back this many times is very unusual, very uncharacteristic. But we did hear that some of the plot details might involve replacing Harrison Ford as the Indiana Jones character going down.
Wow.
Going down the line here, and the speculation is that maybe he injured himself to sideline the production in order to get some rewrites in order to prevent that from happening. I thought that was very, very interesting. I wanted to hear what you guys maybe thought about that.
That is interesting. I'm torn on it because I feel like Harrison Ford always injures himself.
He does have a way of injuring himself on set, doesn't he?
Right, he's constantly injuring himself, and I love Harrison, man. That guy is so badass. Like the guy's like in his 70s. He's doing all kinds. He's flying his own private planes, all kinds of stuff. But I'm torn on it because I do feel like that might be something that's actually legit because I do feel he has a personal connection to Indiana Jones, even more so than his Han Solo character. I feel like he's much more invested in Indiana Jones.
But actually, it's funny that you actually say that, OG, because if you actually think of what happened with Han Solo, that they made Solo the film with a younger version of his character and kind of the backlash that took. And I wonder if he's thinking in his mind, okay, do I really want this to happen again with Indy? Because I, as you said, I think he has a much more connection with Indy more so than Solo, and I think it's almost like his baby. It's like he just wants to coddle it, and it's like he wants to literally take it to his grave. I mean, I can't wait for Indy 5, to be honest with you. I want to see what they bring to it. I mean, of course, it's probably going to open the same day as Tron when I collect my Social Security, but it's like one of those.
So funny. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But Alia, what are your thoughts on that theory? Like that Harrison is very protective of this character and he's trying to sort of, I don't want to say sabotage, but sort of trying to, do stuff to sort of kick the can down the road. You think there's some legitimacy to that rumor, or you think it's kind of hogwash?
Part of me, I don't know. Part of me doesn't. I guess I'm just going toward the overthinking logical part here with the contract and everything, that if there's proof he was trying to sabotage, that would be completely against contract. They could, I don't know, fire him, not care what he thinks anymore, stop the production. I don't know, sue him. But then again, they're very shy of bad publicity. And so maybe even if there is proof of this, they're probably...
Because even back in 2000, I'm sorry.
I respect her a lot. I don't completely criticize her, but I do feel that she's not a creative. She's just more of a business person, but she does need a win. And
talk about Kathleen Kennedy here.
Kathleen Kennedy, yes. Yeah. And with, what did I say instead?
Oh, no. We were just clarifying that is what you said. Yes, so
sorry about that.
Well, it really shows her relevance. But
oh dear. But she needs a production win. And so if this got canceled, if it was involved in a lawsuit, that wouldn't be good. So
yeah.
But what I'm sorry, I was going to say back in 2019, was there talks that they were even considering Chris Pratt on playing a young Indy? Like there was talks, like I don't even know if that was supposed to be part. Was that a rumor?
I don't know if it became factual, but I remember the whispers or the reading Reddit and things like that.
There were talks of many people potentially playing Indiana Jones, and I think that's where the company ultimately wants to go. I mean, obviously, Harrison Ford can't play the character forever, and this is a valuable IP. They did buy the the remaining rights from Paramount, with I'm sure the expectation of creating more Indiana Jones content. It's quite interesting, this story, and I bring it up because it's two things. Well, firstly, to put some more meat on maybe the bones of, I don't know, maybe not sabotaging production, but maybe delaying it, is he's pictured relatively a short time later on his bike going around, different parts of Europe and so forth. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I thought this was a serious injury that was supposed to sideline him for, a pretty good length of time. Why is he going around doing all these kind of things?
Yeah.
The other thing too, though, and I think the bigger part of the story is that, maybe Kathleen Kennedy's influence is waning, even when it comes to these kind of side franchises that Lucasfilm has the rights to, like Indiana Jones. There is some talk that maybe there is some rewrites going on in the background for Indiana Jones, and maybe that's why one of the reasons the production was pushed back in order to allow for those rewrites and those reshoots. Now that Chapek is in charge, it's fully. I believe he is maybe looking over the slate and going, hey, what do we want to do? What do we not want to do? We just heard for Kathleen Kennedy herself. One of her big pet projects was the Children of Blood and Bone. Right. And the rights just slipped back, well, it didn't slip back, but slipped out of their hands to Paramount, which says that, maybe the higher ups did not have faith in this project, and allowed those rights to slip. We heard that there was some back and forth with the writer of Children of Blood and Bone and the Lucasfilm team, and that there were some disagreements there. It's just more drama attached to the Kathleen Kennedy Lucasfilm regime.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. If he is playing devil's advocate, if Harrison is playing, is involved in shenanigans in regards to kind of kicking the can down the road, it's very, very interesting, because I think if that's the case, and this is a big caveat, but if he is, I think it would even be, I think that the motivations for him would probably be even deeper than just someone else playing Indiana Jones, because even in the 90s, I'm an old geezer. I remember the Indiana Jones, Young Indy. Remember Young Indy? I think it was River
Phoenix.
River Phoenix played him in The Last Crusade. There was another actor who played the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles that wore the fedora as well.
So that was a different actor. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he's had a few other actors portray the character in the past, correct, seemingly okay with it. That's why, if this is true and he's doing this to sort of, as a protest thing or to delay, in my opinion, I think it would be deeper than just someone else playing Indiana Jones. I think there's something else going on there that would spark this kind of response from Harrison. I don't know.
Do you think it's because of Kathleen Kennedy?
It could be. It could be something totally different. I don't know, but other people have played this character before.
But I wonder if maybe that's why, because even though that they have played the character, they played alongside him, where it was basically just like a pass note, sort of like kind of moving along with the movie, where he was still kind of the front and center playing Indy. I think it's more so he has an issue with someone carrying the film as Indiana Jones rather than himself.
Right.
I have heard some of the plot details, the rumored plot details. Yeah, and I could see why somebody would take a fall.
Little spoilers.
Well, that's the thing. Hey, look,
there's
got people. If you don't want to hear spoilers, you might want to tune out for the next couple of minutes.
That's right. There's some people that don't even want to watch trailers. That's true.
Sure. So, Aaliyah, why don't you go ahead and tell us some of the things that you've heard, and maybe I can cooperate some of those things.
Time travel is involved. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back to ancient Rome.
There you go. Perfect.
That's been seen or heard. So,
time travel, ancient Rome, like you said, and the rumor, the extent of the rumors I've heard is that there's like the time that as they go back into the kind of the back in time, maybe there's a version where Indy doesn't exist, and in the plot he dies, and so the person taking on the fedora must play as Indiana Jones and go through everything that he did throughout the years that he was alive, and that would provide the content that Lucasfilm would like to have for any films in the future. That's the way I heard it.
Does he come across Doc Brown?
I mean, that's
And Doctor Strange.
I'm guessing, yeah. To play off that a little bit, I would guess that there is an artifact that would allow this to happen. That would be consistent with the Indiana Jones story. Yeah. But I gotta be honest, it sounds like trash to me. Now it might work, maybe in execution or so forth, but it does not sound great. Okay, so
I've seen things where I've read plot lines and like, oh, that sounds awful, and then when you see the movie, it can be good and pretty good. Right. So,
well, whether it's good or it stinks, I mean, the plus side for us is by the time the movie does come up, we could all go to the movie theater and get the senior discount. So.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What is it?
G and myself.
The co-star for this film.
I'm close to 50. If you round my age, it is close to 50. So.
No way.
Wow.
No way.
Wow.
Well, you two seem the fun of youth or something.
It's a plot line for Indiana Jones. No, okay. Well, okay. So the co-star is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's who I'm hearing would take up the fedora going forward.
I think that's cool, personally.
Sure.
But I understand.
I mean, but
person's okay with it, I guess. I suppose.
Well, and it might be controversial with a segment of the fans. Maybe not the majority, maybe not a significant segment, but that would be a thing, and
I don't want media companies to worry about angry social media, though. So
right. I get it.
The minority. They're not the general audience. So
right.
I understand. I get it. And that's why. We were just having this conversation the other day, right? OG and George. It's like general public versus the fans and so forth, and how they might have different aspirations or goals or expectations, I should say. But when it comes to this, I mean, I think there's maybe not the rumors of maybe Harrison throwing the production is accurate, but I do think it's accurate that Kathleen Kennedy might be losing some influence if in fact they are going through some of these script changes and some of these story changes with the film. I think Chapek is taking a hard look at everything in production right now and saying, is this the best route to take going forward with this company?
And that kind of worries me because a lot of times when companies halt production for script changes or what have you, I mean, this doesn't happen all the time, but almost like 8 out of 10 times when the final product does come out, it stinks. I mean, from my experience, and I hope that's not the case because Indiana Jones, like Raiders of the Lost Ark is like my top 5 in cinema history. So, I mean, to kind of go out with Indy 5 and it end with something like that would be a travesty.
Yeah, see, Indiana Jones is a tough one because Indiana Jones is so different than Star Wars. And like Star Wars, you can create like ancillary characters. You can do like what they did with the sequel trilogy. It's like after it's a different portion of the timeline, things like that. But Indiana Jones, because Star Wars is about like the galaxy, the universe, a collection of characters and stories. Really, Indiana Jones really isn't. Indiana Jones is really like hyper focused on Indiana Jones, and it's really hard to kind of like, where do you go from there without Harrison? It's really, really hard. So if they do decide to replace him, whoever it is, whether it's Phoebe Waller-Bridge or someone totally different, they have to make sure that that the person replacing Harrison is somebody that is going to knock it out of the park. I mean, the pressure on that is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Not only that, it's important that Harrison Ford is okay with it, because if not, it's going to come out in interviews or published accounts, maybe because he told a friend, or way in the future, maybe diaries revealed or something. it's just, and that will affect things. And so it's very important too that Harrison Ford is okay with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. He has to be on board. He has to be on board. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that times are changing at Disney. I think times are changing at Lucasfilm. I think we're going to see a lot of different stuff happening. We have a new sheriff in town, Chapek, and his deputy, or maybe what was that?
2 sheriffs, right? Chapek and then Arnold. Yeah, they're
right.
Like,
I was going to say that. I was going to Chapek and Susan Arnold, which actually Susan Arnold might even arguably have even more power than Chapek. You know, so it's interesting. So I think things are going to change. We'll see the direction, but it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating to see in the direction this is going to go.
And next time, to expand this out even further on the next show, I think it would be a good time to maybe go over some of the rumors, with Kathleen Kennedy's potential waning influence, and some of the changes that we're seeing with the Chapek era, like you alluded to, OG. There's a lot of talk out there about Jon Favreau and maybe placing him in a more creative oversight position.
I hope so.
I think the potential ramifications from something like that could be large.
Yeah, I really like Favreau. I do. I really do like Favreau quite a bit. There's very few things that Favreau has done that I don't like. Like, I think the only thing I can really think of off the top of my head was the Lion King live action movie.
Sure.
That didn't work, but you're trying to recreate a masterpiece. I mean, who can do that? It's hard. But like a Chef is amazing. Like his stuff with Marvel, like Mandalorian, like he does a lot of great stuff. I wouldn't be at all opposed to him running Lucasfilm. I actually really, really like Favreau. I think he's got the chops way more than Filoni. Filoni is a total creative. I mean, he kind of Filoni. See, the thing with Filoni is he's totally a creative. He doesn't have like the Hollywood chops really to run the studio, but I think Favreau kind of has both, and he would be much better if Kathleen retires. I think Favreau should definitely step in, but we'll see.
Well, the rumor of Jon Favreau and where he might be placed might be even higher than Lucasfilm. Like I said, a creative oversight position for the entire creative output for the company, not unlike a John Lasseter type position like that used to exist. That's kind of what I'm hearing. And Alia, I believe we had a conversation about this in the DMs.
He'll be like the creative side, whereas Kareem has all the power of distribution. Jon Favreau, the rumors are, would have the creative. He'd be like the creative hub, whereas Kareem Daniels is like the distribution hub director. Kind of like a mirror. They'd be parallels with each other.
Which would really make sense because, I mean, he has touched upon every corner of the company. He's done, dealt with movies in Disney. He's appeared in Marvel films and then running so many projects through Lucasfilm. So I think it would be very fitting.
And he has those integral relationships with Hollywood that, nobody at the upper echelon of Disney really has in the same way that Jon Favreau has.
If you had that position during July when ScarJo was becoming upset in her agency, then it probably would not have happened.
Maybe she doesn't sue.
Right. Very fascinating stuff. I think there is big change coming at Disney overall. I think we're going to hear a lot of stuff coming out of Disney in the next few months. Look, every time, and even in my personal life, every time I've been like in my job, like worked for a company, anytime you get like a new CEO or even a new like team leader or manager, they come in and they want to make their impact on the company almost immediately. They go in there and they do changes very early on. So this is when, look, Daddy Iger is gone. He's no longer with the company. Chapek now, he runs the show with Susan Arnold. I think in the next few months is the time you're going to start seeing big changes, because that's typically when these new CEOs and what have you, that's when they do make these big changes, Yeah.
Might as well should just call it like it is, OG. It's not Daddy Iger anymore. It's Great Grandpa Bobby.
Yeah. Great Grandpappy Bob Iger.
With Chapek's contract running out, what is it, next year? About this time, sometime in February next year, then he's really going to want to prove things and get things done. So
Yeah.
Arnold is going to have a look at him, Susan Arnold. In the board.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point because you're right. His contract is up. I think actually almost exactly a year from this month, which is like February 2023. He's gonna want to prove himself. He doesn't want to get voted out, fired, whatever. So he's gonna do everything he can. He's gonna and Alia, we talked about it. Like he's gonna want to get Hulu. He's gonna want to, he's gonna want to boost those D+ numbers any way he can. He's gonna want to fix anything he can before that February 2023 contract.
And his big platform, his golden opportunity is being handed to him at the D23 Expo. So if he wants to pull out the big guns, that's probably the time to do it.
Right? Yeah. It's gonna be a wild ride, as Mr. Toad says.
Exactly.
We'll see. Yeah, we will see. But I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much for coming on, Alia. First time. It was fantastic having you on. Thank you.
Clapping at
Nice.
And
applause.
you are always welcome on the channel.
Thank you.
Always welcome. So you have a home here on OG 55. We would love to have you. We're gonna end it just like we started it. I'm gonna go down the row. We're gonna close it out. Dre Vash Sky, where can everybody at home find you on social media, sir?
Well, best place to interact with me is going to be at Vash Sky on Twitter. It's going to be right down there. And best place to see me, well, it's on your channel, Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. Alia, where can everyone find you on social media?
Twitter, and there it is. I didn't put the little @ symbol, but
it's okay. Don't worry about it. We get you.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for coming on, and Mr. Family Man, fresh out of Joanne's Fabrics. Where can everyone find you on social media, sir?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Disney Family Man 23, which is also my Instagram name. You can find me on Twitter at Disney George, and of course on Orange Grove 55's channel with Citrus Corner. And lastly, I just want to thank you, Alia, for joining us. It was a real treat having you on. It's always, nice to actually see a different perspective coming outside of our regular recording. So we're very happy to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you all for watching. Comment down below with all your opinions on this Ice Age trademark issue and how it relates to Mickey Mouse and that copyright issue. Comment on your thoughts about Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones 5, Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm, all of it. We love to hear from you guys. Like, subscribe, and as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.